Alrighty then.
Talk loud.
Hello everybody. What's good? It's Fudo Yusei here. Nah, playing. Alright guys, I'm here to make Basic Yusei Fudo Deck Profile. It was really difficult for me to pick out a lot of his most commonly used, popular, and dynamic cards that Yusei uses, because Yusei in the episodes and in the anime and everything, he always had a new card every episode, especially a trap card. So he really never used every card more than once, except for like the monsters and maybe the Synchros. But other than that, everything else was like new all the time, so it was pretty difficult. But with the help of Judai Yuki and a little help from Yuya Sakaki, I was able to do it. So this is my basic Yusei Fudo deck profile. We're gonna start off with the tuners. You have to start off with the tuners because that is what 5Ds is all about. The main guy, Junk Synchron. We all know what he does. He is the very soul of this deck, the Wagatamashi of the deck. He's summoned, you can space summon level 2, going for the classic Junk Warrior combo, it's really good. Next we have Turbo Synchron. Turbo Synchron is a really good card because it has a very versatile effect where if it attacks a monster, switches it to defense, and then you can space summon a monster depending on the damage you take. And if you have the right traps, which I will get to that later on, you can synchro or get over some beaters that normally you wouldn't be able to get over with. Then we have Nitro Synchron, very good card as well, because you could go into Nitro Synchron and draw an extra card, which Yusei usually uses a lot. Then we have Hyper Synchron. I don't really like that card a lot because it banishes my Stardust, but Yusei uses it, I will use it. I'm Yusei, I would use it. And then we have Road Synchron. Really good card because if you're trying to go for anything other than Road Warrior, you can, and he decreases his level by 2. And then if he attacks it, he increases his level by 1. So it makes it kind of easier to synchro summon for Road Warrior, which requires 2, which I'll get into that later on. Then we have Quick Draw Synchron, which becomes any Synchron monster, which is great because it makes it easier for the deck to flow and stuff. We also have Drill Synchron. Shut up, phone. We also have Drill Synchron, which makes it's very good on its own, and the synchro monster that you synchroed, with it, it's very good as well. It makes your warriors pierce and you draw a card, which is very good as well. Then the cards that are not really synchrons are Effect Veiler. It's a really good card. I'm glad Yusei used it. Debris Dragon makes it easier to go for Stardust and any other dragon, but Stardust is usually the guy you go for with the Yusei deck. And Majestic Dragon because Yusei needs more ass pulls than usual. So that's the tuners. Then we'll go for the monsters. I have in total with the tuners I have 22 monsters, so I run a kind of heavy monster build a bit. I have my favorite monster, which I'll get hollow very soon, Nitro Warrior. It's classic, very classic. We have Shield Wing, which my friend just gave me today, hollowed up and everything. We have the greatest looking card in the world, Tuning Wear, who wears a pan and a scarf.
It's the best card, man.
The best card in the universe. We have Max Warrior, very good card, especially if you're trying to get over certain things, and it makes it easier to synchro because he cuts his level in half and everything, so it's really good. We have a stall card, Fortress Warrior. We all know that Yusei stalls. That's his main goal. We have Turbo Booster, which allows you to special summon for easy synchro summoning. Shield Warrior, another stall card, and protection for your monsters. Doppel Warrior, my friend Mikey. Yuya really likes that card because it can easily synchro for anything. Then we have Quobo Hedgehog, and special summon a tuner. If you have a tuner, you special summon it. We have Strong Old Guardian, good for defense. Gauntlet Warrior for warriors, which increases the attack and defense. Another stall card and special summoning. Stardust Shalong and Sonic Chick, my version of Obnoxious Celtic Guard, which Yugi is a bitch. I don't care. I hate him. He's a cheater. I run a heavy trap build as well. Yusei in the show, he runs a lot of traps. We all know this. That's all you hear in the show. Trap cut open, trap cut open. You don't really hear spells. So yeah, so Sekaru Tetsu Kakashi. Scrap Iron Scarecrow. Negates an attack, goes back down to do it again and annoy your opponent. Yuya really hates that card. So does Judai. We have Synchro Barrier. It protects you from any damage pretty much, but you have to sacrifice a Synchro for that. I don't like that. It's fine, I'll bring it back. While Tornado pops a face-up spell and trap, Skyscraper, Pendulum Zones, not I'm playing. Miracle's Wake, monsters destroyed by battle. I like the anime effect better, but they won't let me use it. He gets a monster destroyed by battle, you bring it back. Graceful Revival, brings out a level 2 or lower in attack mode, easy for synchro summoning. The fact that Yusei uses a lot of low-level monsters to synchro. You have Urgent Tuning to synchro during the battle phase. You have Lost Star Descendo, or Descend the Lost Star, to spray summon a synchro monster, which makes it even easier to synchro summon again. We have Starlight Road, which I never get to use because nobody ever gets the cards on the time that I have it, but okay. Brings out a Stardust Dragon. I usually use the anime effect because it's better. This one they allow, but they don't allow the other one, right? Fuck you all guys. Alright, Defense Draw. It's not really common. I think he only used it like once or twice or something like that, but it's a defense card and I like it. I draw a card and I take no battle damage. I like that. And then we have Synchro Materials, so when I need to get over certain cards, I can synchro with their monsters and be like, thank you for your donations. And then we have 2 anime cards. My friend Judai printed out for me, Synchro Spirits. He used that in the anime. It's a really good card. I banish the synchro and then I bring out the monsters that were used, and then I can use them for synchros. And we have
like a diffusion, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And I have Synchro Strike Unit, which increases the attack of a synchro monster by 1,000, but then it decreases it by 800 during each of the end phases. But it's fine because it doesn't last on the field that long anyways. For the spells, Yusei doesn't really run a lot of spells. Usually, since in 5Ds they don't really have that much of like ground duels, it's always speed duels, so they run a lot of speed spells. But in the ground duels, Yusei doesn't run a lot of spells. He runs a very low count on spells, kind of like Judai when he runs low traps. So the only spells I have is Fighting Spirit, Angel Baton. My friend made it a regular card, so it's perfect. I have Junk Barrage, 1 for 1, which is helpful so that I can go for like the big hitters. And Vision Wind, which is another card he used in the very beginning of the first episode to go for Junk Warrior and win again. We're gonna get into the Synchros, which is the best because this is what Yusei is known for. We have the main guy, Stardust Toad Dragon. Everybody knows him. When he came out, he became a freaking a card that everybody used in their decks. We have Shooting Star Dragon, which is a very good card as well. It negates an attack. It has multiple effects. I like it. It's a very commonly used card that Yusei uses, especially in the anime. Ever since he got it, he never takes it out of his deck. We have Majestic Star Dragon, which we all know he was spamming in Season 2 against the Dark Signers, which was cheap, and some part of the 3rd season as well. Yeah, Yuya hates that card. Road Warrior, it's one of my favorite cards. It's 3 Grand Beater, allows me to spare summon level 2 or lower. Warrior or Machine, which helps me synchro summon even more. We have Junk Destroyer. I decided to add him because he just looks cool. I don't care what you say.
Cheapest card in the Synchro deck.
Yo, quiet. We have Nitro Warrior. This Judai hates because it's a very unfair card. I do admit it is a very unfair card.
Like every Yusei card?
Yo, stop hating, alright? You annoying faggot. We have Junk Archer. Now, this guy, out of all the junks, besides Junk Warrior, he's my favorite. I get to banish a card and then just attack. I have to worry about none of his regular dumb monsters. Yuya. Yeah, that's right. And then we have Turbo Warrior. Honestly, he's my least favorite warrior synchro in the Yusei deck because it's so specific. We have Drill Warrior, which is really good because I get to, recycle cards. And my favorite junk monster, which is Junk Warrior. This is the man in the deck. He's my official ace. It's not starters, guys. And then we have Armory Arm, which is a good power-up card for any of my monsters. And last but not least, Formula Synchron, which I can synchro during my opponent's turn, which is very good. I made a side deck because apparently Yusei did have some other cards that were like commonly known and used and, you know, famous and stuff. My friend helped me pick out. We have the Psycho series, which is tricular, bicular, and unicycular, which Yusei uses. It's really nice, you know. It's kind of like a show, you know. Kill one, the other one comes back, you know. Cards that, you know, a lot of people hate because it stalls. We have Turret Warrior. Yuya doesn't. Yuya hates my guts.
Them. They're just dumb because they're funny.
We have Turret Warrior, Trivia Warrior, and then boom, bring it out, and that's really good. He gains the original attack, and it's a special summon, so I don't have to tribute for it. We have Level Warrior, which is a very good card. You know, depending on the situation, I can special summon it from a hand like a Cyber Dragon, and he becomes a level 4. Or if there's nothing on the field, he could come out as a level 2, which is very rare because Yusei always has a card on the field. We have Ghost Gardna, one of my favorite cards as well, because it forces your opponent to attack it. And if they do destroy it, their attack, I can select a monster and just attack to 0. You know, kind of like some of the Yuya tactics.
It's a fair card, right?
It is a fair card because you have a whole bunch of them, right? And then we have Zero Gardna, which, you know, protects my monsters. Again, stall. For the traps in the side deck, we have Spirit Force, which is good. He used it to bring out Junk Warrior back to his hand, and it prevents you from taking any battle damage. We have Reinforced Truth. I like the anime effect better, but I don't care. It's a really good effect regularly as well. We have Limit Overload for those who like to use Space Typhoons and things like that. That could bring out my favorite monster, Speed Warrior. And then we have Baton of Hero. He used that a couple of times. Especially in season 2 when he was dueling against the Dark Signers and stuff. And in the season 3 during the WRGP. To get to, like, you know, switch the attack of a monster in case he wanted to protect a certain monster and stuff. And then for the spells, we have, again, short spells. Yusei doesn't really run a lot of spells, but this is my side deck, so we have Release Restrain Wave. It's like a Heavy Storm, but for set cards. Well, no, more like a Harpy spell that does it for set cards for my opponent. I just have to send an equip card. We have Prevention Star, which is a very useful card, especially if your opponent has a broken monster on the field. You can just have him there, just lying there. And if my monster gets destroyed, I can banish that card so that I can never get it back. And then we have 2 more anime cards, which is Final Attack.
Which was a speed spell.
It was a speed spell, which he made into a regular spell. Again, Yusei doesn't run a lot of spells. It's all speed spells in the show. And Dash Pilfer, which is a good card because I can take control of a defense monster and just synchro with it.
Alright, so what's fun about using the Yusei deck?
Everything! The fun thing about using the Yusei deck is I get to annoy my opponent while I wait patiently to do what I want. I'm playing. No, the fun thing about the Yusei deck is that you get to stall and you get to synchro summon a lot. You get to special summon. I mean, when 5Ds came out, the game was a lot faster, and Yusei's deck really played a role in that. So Yusei's deck is pretty fast when it needs to be. It swarms the field a lot, and it makes it easy to synchro summon for like your most dynamic monsters that you need. The fact that you have a lot of trap cards, so you'll be hearing a lot of Trap Kado open a lot. And yeah, and just like those dramatic comebacks and stuff, those moments when you could come up with a combo like think like Yusei. That's my favorite part about the Yusei deck, just the fact that I can like live and know how it feels to be Yusei, you know, letting your hair flow in the wind. No, I'm playing.
What challenges do you have using the Yusei deck?
The challenge about the Yusei deck,
There is no
one of the challenges,
there's no challenges.
there is, it's just with me because I'm an asspool, so it's fair. But one of the challenges is the fact that Yusei synchros are very specific. They require a certain monster to synchro for them. That's why Yusei has the archetype Synchron. So, like for example, if you want to go for like Junk Synchron or Junk Warrior or Road Warrior or Junk Destroyer stuff, any of those monsters that have a specific synchro you have to have that specific Synchro monster, and the fact that Yusei has only one of each because that's how the anime runs it. Like Judai, I like being very, like, I like the deck to be exactly, like, I don't like how, like, when people add other cards that you know, the character didn't have, or they add multiple cards. For that, you can make a competitive deck. This is more on the character side, the way he would run it. But the difficulty is that, you know, you have to have the specific Synchro to summon that Synchro monster. Also, the fact that Yusei's heavy hitters are his Synchros. His main deck doesn't really run a lot of heavy hitters. It's very, like, his monsters are very low attack, low level. So his deck is very defensive in the fact that it stalls for time to get those cards so that he can Synchro for his big hitters. So his deck is very low attack, so it doesn't have a way to defend itself on its own like the Judai deck or the Yuya deck. It doesn't have big hitters, so it's really hard. So I had to play very defensive, and the fact that it kind of gets, you know, it can get kind of boring stalling for a while and stuff like that, waiting for the card and everything. So that's the weakness of the deck, I guess. And the fact that it runs a heavy trap load, you know, and a very heavy monster load, so that I can get to those Synchros as fast as possible. It makes it kind of difficult, you know, to get to them because, you know, the opponent can easily destroy the monsters unless you have the stall cards to protect your monsters and protect yourself from being damaged. That's the weakness of the deck. The strength of the deck, of course, is that once you do get the Synchro monsters and everything, you can go off. And the fact that it makes up for his very low attack and defense monsters and has a lot of stall cards and protective cards, so that it can make your monsters last and make yourself last long enough to get the cards that you need, you know, to Synchro summon so that you can get on the offensive. That's the strengths and the weaknesses of the deck. And that's my deck. And this was Yusei Fudo riding Duel Acceleration!